Welcome back as we continue to review the prologue, everything that went down to set up the full race distance and the race order out at round number 3 of the Ural Trucks Fila Africa Inland Off-Road Championship recently held out at Lichtenburg. Ex-national competitor John Telford joined the fray with Cyril Burta alongside in their BAT Spec 4. Having not raced for a while, John was keen to get back into the full swing of things. Some wrong slots and a broken accelerator pedal put a spanner in those works, but the prologue was eventually dispatched, and then the magic spanners came out to ready themselves for the main event come later in the day. Telford was a little bit of a threat this time around. He challenged for a national championship win just 2 seasons back, and now we're going to see what he could do out at the Inland Off-Road Championships. In the first of 2 Toyota Land Cruisers competing, Stompie Meinhardt and Adrian Roots in their Star Lubricants Caltex Dello entry is currently the Class D frontrunner. 2 class wins on the trot meant that everyone else was playing catch-up at this part of the season. The crew pushed hard in the prologue and managed to clinch their first starting position in their class. They were by no means clear of the pack though, snapping at their heels. Class D is an absolute nail-biter every time we go out and line up. For defending Class D champions Lawrence van Veek and Moni Roo, the 2020 season went from bad to worse as they were set for high hopes, looking for a good showing and return to form. It was not to be though. 30 kilometers into the prologue, the rear differential cried enough and no more, and they were out of the running just like that. Class G points leaders in Bumblebee, the Calex Sound Higher entry, was looking forward to another solid performance, hoping to consolidate their position at the top of the log. However, the long wait for racing to resume took its toll, with a number of driver and navigator errors costing them time on the qualifying loop. It would then be up to them to get it all done come the race event. They've proven they can do it before. Now, the pressure was truly on Bumblebee to get it dialed in. Freiburg businessman Christo Rose and navigator Arnold Olivier missed out on the first 2 events of the year and were full of hope for a good showing this time out. It was not to be, as a mechanical failure put a premature end to their race, and their hopes and dreams went dashing to the side of the track. They were out for the day. We would hope to get them back into the fray once again as we rolled into round number 4. The lone Polaris entry, as always, from LD Erasmus and André Geldenes, came to an abrupt end as well, about 20 kilometers in. This time it was a broken bolt on the rear suspension, causing the shock absorber mount to break off in the process, and that was all she wrote. Peter Walter and Sean de Villiers, they had a steady prologue. Yeah, a few navigational mishaps along the way, but nothing to write home about. The problem came though at 10 kilometers to go. Lost a chunk of time by getting out the car and fixing a flat tire. That meant it was all to do come the main event on the race. And then a great story here. The first time out in the Ural Trucks Fila Africa Inland Off-Road Championship for the pairing of Gideon Jacobs and Marty Backfisher. Both championship quad racers, and they took a bit of time getting used to the format of navigating with the help of a road book, but soon settled in and had an enjoyable and trouble-free run in the prologue. They were definitely going to be a pair to watch out for. Jacobs' aggressive style was hoping to pay dividends. Making a welcome return after not racing for a while was the father and son team of Tony and Mike Gavea. They were back, this time in their BAT Spec 0, totally rebuilt and now powered by a Nissan 350Z motor. First time we'd seen this on a space frame. Other than a few wrong slots, the prologue went really well without any issues, and they were having a ball in this extended shakedown of their new machine. So great to see development still continuing in the Class Ps. For Tians Totoy and James O'Mahony in the propeller-centered Toyota Land Cruiser, they were hoping to take the fight to the D11 of Stompie and Adrian in the other cruiser for Class D honours. However, their progress was hampered a little bit A bird hit their windscreen and smashed it out, albeit on the navigator's side, meaning the driver could still see, but a navigator still needs the element of visuals. It does help, believe me. For Dion Buoyant, he lost a wheel on the Bat Spec Zero in the prologue, putting him way down the order. It would be a question mark whether he would actually make it into the lineup queue. And then a great story in a put your money where your mouth is situation. New entrants Philip Buerta and navigator Roelof Janse van Vuren from the Penta Motor Group decided to live their company's ethos by entering the fray of off-road racing in a Class FIA spec, Miss Navara. Their goal is ultimately to end up in the national championships, and the Inland Off-Road Championship is the ideal proving ground for them. With no issues to report after the prologue, the crew were full of hope and excitement for the main event. Cool to have new crews and new development continuing throughout the field. The ex-Archie Rutherford National Championship Class S Toyota Hilux was brought by an ex-motorcycle racer Peter Faree, accompanied by Keith Smith in the navigator seat. The pair struggled to find their feet as both driver and navigator made errors, and they struggled to find a good rhythm. But apart from getting lost a few times, they made it to the end of their first qualifying loop together in one piece. For Hein Kruger and Albertus Venter, they were going along swimmingly in the hindcore Toyota Hilux until a broken CV hampered their progress. Repairs needed to be done then before tackling the main race later on in the day. Yes, there was a theme of a lot of breakdowns during prologue, and perhaps not so much prep going into the cars with the lull in the race season. For driver Simon Murray, an ex-circuit racing endurance racer, he tackled his second ever off-road race with rookie navigator Justin Allen alongside. Off-road racing is the polar opposite of track racing on tar, but Simon and Justin went well, notwithstanding a broken accelerator pedal, a broken drive belt, a slow rollover, some navigational errors, and a puncher with 2 kilometers to go being thrown at them. But apart from that, everything was fine. Father and son, Oki and Jandre Kruger, had a decent run until a leaf spring on the rear suspension broke out. The pair made some much-needed roadside repairs to get them to the end of the qualifying. Apart from that, though, they had no further issues and would make the main event. Class F was still on. In the Class E's, and coming off 2 Class E wins in a row, Johan Vierser and Jerry Besson has set the benchmark in this class, and they had a clean and trouble-free run during the prologue. Now, for them, it was simply business as usual, on to the main race. It was the first time out in Class D for regulars coming out of the Class E. The campaigners of Johan Besson and Divan Kutsia moved up to the 4-litre class in a newly acquired Toyota Hilux and were hoping for a good showing from the offing. With no issues to report during qualifying, it seemed that Class D honours was going to be between the 2 cruisers and the D20. But at this stage, no one knew what the order was going to be come the end of the day. And then for the youngsters, Mono Mullman and Peter Bodenhorst in the aging Hilux, that certainly makes up in enthusiasm what the car lacks in specifications. The prologue then served up its fair share of problems, with wet spark plugs and eventually a broken spark plug and getting lost. Aging vehicles do tend to set the biggest challenges out there. For Suisse Moret and Jacques Leroux, they were making steady progress and didn't suffer any major issues during their qualifying run. They too were super happy to be back racing in the car after a long respite. Everyone was just good to be out in the bush once again. For the crew in the E16, a slightly different look and feel within the cab, with regular navigator Victor Fincham stuck in Botswana due to the COVID-19 regulations and the closed borders therein. Wayne Smith was now partnered with rookie navigator but very fast motorcycle racer Hendrik Rutt. When it came down to it though, Wayne had nothing to worry about as Rutt took to the navigation role like a duck to water. No issues for the crew. They were going to have an amazing day. Every time we see these motorcycle racers jump in, there's fireworks. For Sean van Staden, Johan's son, he made a return to off-road racing with navigator Ian Alnut in their Ford Ranger. Their welcome back prologue included losing the front diff after 30 kilometers, being reduced to two-wheel drive and a top speed limitation of 88 kilometers per hour, and that at 40 kilometers into the loop. The gear lever pulled out the gearbox, taking a good 30 minutes to repair. That's quite a shopping list to get fixed before the main event. For Jan Roos and his son Julian, they were looking forward to racing together once again, but their joy was short-lived. A mere 25 kilometers into the prologue, their engine lost all oil pressure, and in order to not damage the machine further, they decided to withdraw to live to fight another day. For Jeremy Mitchell and Kevin Klein, they started strongly, but were hampered by an overshoot at 30 kilometers, and then subsequently had a loose gearbox linkage which needed attention also. Approaching this very muddy patch, they lost momentum and very nearly didn't make it through. Not what you want in a B-class, believe me. But in the end, it was terminal clutch problems that caused the retirement from the event. In our all-ladies team of Colleen Croshaw and Marina van Schalkwyk, they had their work cut out for them in this little sandmaster, and the muddy conditions were not going to be easy for them. Halfway through the qualifying loop, their Garmin GPS went on the blink, which made navigation just that little bit more tricky. They also had to stop to remove a roof strut, which came loose and hampered Colleen in the driver's seat. This, for them, mechanically was one of the most challenging prologues of their career. For the B-class, there's always a healthy family rivalry going on between the B1, the entry of the ladies, of Colleen and Morena, and their husbands, Sifi and Arthur, in the B2 marker entry. This time, the guys got one over on the girls by a fair margin too, obviously due to the mechanicals that the ladies were suffering, as they had a clean run with absolutely no issues to report. The chase would then be on for the B-class victory in the main race. Was it going to be the wives, or the husbands this time around, that got the bragging rights on the drive home? With the Bs in then, let's check out the breakdown of the results throughout the classes and for the overalls. It was Ernst Roberts and Henry Kerner that would top the charts and set off in the main event first. Then Malcolm and Andre Koch would take up the chase in their Class T machine, setting some amazing lap times, followed by the Alfa Renault Duster. The rest of the categories, we saw a ton of mechanicals, so the prologue would probably count for very little come the main event, as we were expecting a lot of chopping and changing throughout all the classes. Before the main event, we chatted to M&J Motors and the driver coming off the G22, Michael de Beer.
Hi, good day, it's Michael de Beer. I'm racing Can-Am Maverick X3 from M&J Motors. Yeah, the road is very fast, very nice. I had a bit of bad luck on the start with the Maverick, but yeah, we managed to fix it now. So yeah, we hope the rest of the track will be good and a lot of fun. But yeah, it's a lot of dust and it's very fast.
Thanks to Mike, and now with prologue done, join us after the break as we go racing full time on the big loops.